Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Doing great, Max. How about yourself?
You know what? Not too shabby. A little bit busy, a little bit pressed, but we're excited for these UFC fights that unfortunately I am also going to be busy for, which sucks. Super sucks, Caden, as you know. But that doesn't diminish from the fact that we have a banger and stellar card for this weekend. Let's hop right into it.
Yeah, it should be a great card for us this weekend, UFC 314. And yeah, we should see a lot of good fights, maybe some good finishes here on this card. As in the first fight of the night, we have a ranked matchup in the light heavyweight division between the number 6 ranked Nikita Krylov against the number 11th ranked Dominic Reyes, with Krylov being the minus 180 favorite.
Yeah, this is a closer fight than I think the minus 180 favorite says, and I'm actually gonna go Caden on the flip side here and ride with Dominic Reyes. He's been on the upcline after having that four fight losing skid and fighting John Jones and all that. We know the history of that Dom Reyes has been through, but I think he's fighting his way back. He's working his way back, and he's looking better and he's looking improved. I like him to come in and get a W.
Yeah, I think this could be a very exciting fight for us to start our main card here, where, yeah, Dominic Reyes was looking kind of defeated, like you're saying, going on that 4-5 lose streak. But he did look good in that last fight, in that last win. That maybe we still have some of the vintage Dominic Reyes left, some of that iconic, like old prime Dominic Reyes still left in that tank, still primed and ready.
Yes.
I, though, am less optimistic than you that that is still an available option for Dominic Reyes. I think Krylov is going to just be able to kind of outpower Reyes in this fight, just outwork him, kind of outpace him, and it's going to lead him to end up controlling the fight and getting that victory.
Well, there's already our first disagreement to the card, Kate, and that usually doesn't happen here on these UFC, pick'ems. So let's move right into the next
Surprisingly,
fight.
no. Yeah, next fight is the number 13th ranked featherweight Bryce Mitchell going against Gene Silva, with Gene Silva being a minus 278 favorite.
Yeah, Kate, and obviously we know the build up to this fight. We know what Bryce Mitchell is as a personality, to say the
Oh,
least,
yeah.
in the UFC
Something.
with his antics and everything. But that being said, Caden, I think a freaked out Bryce is a scary one. He's motivated, he's feeling dangerous. He's training hard, and as crazy and as ridiculous as Bryce Mitchell is, he's getting in there with a savage in Gene Silva, right? You're gonna have two equally savage and game opponents. I think this fight is very exciting because we are getting two fighters. With that being said, I'm going to ride with the underdog again, Caden. I think somehow, for some reason, Bryce Mitchell finds a way to get it done.
Yeah, this is one where I've always enjoyed Bryce Mitchell. I've always enjoyed watching his fights. In the past year, year and a half, he might have gone a little crazy outside the octagon on the social medias and in the things he says. But in the octagon, he's still a very good fighter. And I think his just ferocity and ability to control the ground game, control the wrestling game. I am with you on this. I think he's going to be able to do enough to come in, get that victory over Gene Silva by using his strongest weapon in his grappling and using that to get it done.
Most definitely can. I think that one's going to be, like you said, one that probably starts on the feet, but I wouldn't be, or obviously they all start on the feet, but probably, that goes on the feet for a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see, a lot of good grappling exchanges, like you mentioned, both these fighters more than capable on the ground. Moving on, Caden, to our third fight of the night.
Yes, this is the fight that I myself am probably the most excited for on this entire main card. We are seeing former champion Yair Rodriguez face off again in the UFC debut of the Dominator of Bellator, Patricio,
Two-time champ.
two-time champ Patricio Pitbull, making his UFC debut with Yair being a minus 198 favorite.
Ooh, Caden, and Yair's a killer. So for Pitbull to come in and get, former champion Yair Rodriguez right off the bat just is a testament to his skill set, his veteran presidentship, and just shows you how much the UFC respects him as a prospect. And of course, as a new signee, likewise, Caden, I am super stoked to see what Pitbull is able to do in the UFC. I think it's been far too many years. I think should have been in the UFC. But with that being said, I'm happy we got him now, and I think he's gonna match up well against Yair Rodriguez, who's kind of had been in some wars, Caden. At the end of the day, and I think that's kind of what's interesting about both these guys is both of these guys have been in some bloodbaths, some 5 round wars where they've gotten beat up. They can take beatings, but they also know how to give them. So as violent as this fight's going to be, I think I'm going to go with Pitbull here, just because guys in their debut. We saw Michael Venom Page, we saw Michael Chandler, like to come in and get their win. So I'm going to go ahead and ride with Pitbull to get it done.
Yeah, I wish this fight and the fight we're about to talk about in the co-main were flipped so we could have seen a 5 round bout here between Yair Rodriguez and Patricio Pitbull because I think that could have been electric, so exciting. And the co-main's a fight that doesn't need 5 rounds and just doesn't matter. But looking here at this Michael Chandler, Patricio Pitbull fight, I'm with you. They always seem to put these Bellator fighters coming over as underdogs in their first round, like you said, with a Michael Chandler, with a Michael Venom Page as well, who are able to come in, get it done, come out with a victory. And I know Yair Rodriguez is a killer. He can put you down and put you down quick. But Patricio Pitbull is as dominant as he was for a reason. He is one of these killers in the sport. I think he's going to show that on his debut with a dominant victory over Yair Rodriguez, getting him closer to the possibility of fighting for that UFC gold.
Definitely, you know what? I think we're in agreement there completely, Caden. These three fights though are legit, wars that we are potentially about to see. I'm very excited, Caden, for the makeup of this early card.
Yeah, you're right. These first three fights should be absolute wars, bangers of a fight. Then we get to this co-main, the beautiful 5 round bout between Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett.
You know what? This one's interesting, Caden,
Oh,
as
with
well.
Paddy Pimblett as a minus 148 favorite.
Yeah, this one's interesting because, of course, we know Michael Chandler has only beat Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson in the UFC. But we also know that Michael Chandler is probably one of the most electric and entertaining, athletes in all of professional sports. Just with when he puts on a fight, you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a show. He's gonna come out swinging. He's gonna come out flying knees. He's gonna come out doing random things, and honestly, not do himself any favors in the fight. But he's gonna make it entertaining. That being said, you got someone like Paddy Pimblett, who's he's trying to take care of business. I don't think he really cares about putting on a performance, more as if that he cares about getting the win, because a win against Michael Chandler does propel Paddy pretty well. That being said, Caden, Michael Chandler's my boy. I'm going to ride with him. I've picked him in all his losses, and I'm going to continue because we're not riding with Paddy Pimblett over on this podcast. And I think Michael Chandler gets it done on the feet and is going to catch Paddy like Tony Ferguson was able to do and get him out of there.
I'm so glad you took Michael Chandler because this is not a podcast that takes Paddy Pimblett in any fight unless they're trying to prop him up with another bum. That's the only time you take Paddy Pimblett in a fight. But when he's fighting against an at least competent opponent, especially in a 5 round fight here, I think we're going to see Michael Chandler be able to withstand, outlast, use the tank we know he has, use that cardio, and come out with a victory against Paddy Pimblett in this co-main of the card.
I think so as well, Kate. It's going to be, very bitter taste in my mouth if Michael Chandler gets the L here.
100% agree. Not looking to see Paddy Pimblett get a big pay-per-view win. But now we get to our main event of the evening. After Ilia Taporia vacated his belt, we are seeing a matchup between former champ Alexander Volkanovski facing off against Diego Lopez, where Volkanovski is a minus 142 favorite.
You know what, Caden? I'm actually surprised Volk opens up as a favorite in this one, just because it is so hard to come off of getting knocked out and then getting knocked out again. Two unfortunate losses, to Poria and to Islam Makhachev for Volkanovski. I'm very skeptical on the Volk we are going to see, Caden. Much respect to, the champion, the number one pound for pound, the all world fighter that we've seen. I just don't know if that's going to be the case of what we see when he steps in the octagon, Caden. And we have been big fans of Diego Lopez since his very first fight, in the UFC. We both said, you know what, this guy's got legit killer instinct. He's got star mentality, and he could potentially be fighting for a title one day. I didn't think it was going to be in 2 years. I didn't think it would be this fast, Caden, and he has answered the call. He has stepped up to the plate. He's answered the bell every time the UFC has needed him, and I think Diego Lopez finally comes in, takes advantage of his moment, and becomes the new UFC featherweight champion.
Okay, so that is not one, not two, not three or four, but five out of five underdogs that Mex has picked to win in this weekend's card. Mex is saying we
I'm
are
right
going to
with the
see
underdogs.
all upsets at UFC 314.
I believe it.
And I'm not far behind with him as I have four underdogs winning at UFC 314 minus Krylov against Dominic Reyes. So I'm with you. I do think Diego Lopez is going to be able to come in and get it done here on Saturday night. As Alexander Volkanovski is coming off a very, very bad knockout on a fight he took way too short a notice after another very, very bad
Uh,
knockout that he's been so rattled in back to back fights that I don't think he's going to be able to withstand as much damage, withstand as much pressure as he is used to being able to accompany himself with during these fights. I think we're going to be able to see Diego Lopez apply that necessary pressure. And when said and done, he'll be having the belt wrapped around his waist when Bruce Buffer is speaking.
Like you said, kid, and I think it is going to be the pressure of Diego Lopez because he's relentless. As soon as that bell rings, he's coming out. He's after you. He can do it on the feet. He could do it on the ground. He's a complete mixed martial artist, and he's going to do it in style. We know, he trains with Alexa Grasso in their camp. He's a skilled fighter. He can box. He can grapple. I think we're in for a fantastic night of fights.
Yeah, this should be an incredible night of fights for us UFC fans. Another great card put on by Uncle Dana White.
Most definitely. Well, that is all our thoughts. Let us know if you guys have any, differences or different picks of any other players. And Caden, what should these guys do before they head on out?
Yeah, make sure you guys leave a like on this video if you did enjoy. Leave a comment on YouTube or on Spotify about what do you agree or disagree with in our picks for these fights. Who do you think is going to come out on top for the championship between Lopez and Volkanovski? Share this with your friends, family, strangers, neighbors, anything like that, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload.
Most definitely. We appreciate y'all. We'll thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next time.